Hey YouTube, this is Lambo. Hey, I want to do a shout out to Dwilhoite and Bill Gowdy sent me here, D, and going to enter your contest. And I just subscribed to your channel, and I'd like to go ahead and answer these questions that you put up there. And I see that you're from Kentucky. I just lived in Kentucky for 13 years and recently relocated down here to Georgia. So we're full-time RVing it down here, and kind of loving the lifestyle. But I do want to jump on these questions here and answer them. I think I'm going to do all three of them, just kind of give you my opinion on them. First of all is the Confederate flag, of course. I think the Confederate flag was, the ruling on that is in the state of South Carolina has been a big mistake. I think it's become a scapegoat for a lot of the politicians to advance their own agenda. I think if history was taught correctly, that we wouldn't have the issues in the United States that we have today. If the American people truly knew the Confederate flag, what it stood for, and the battles that was fought underneath it, you know, people would understand that, you know, it's not a symbol of racism. I'm a firm believer that Robert E. Lee, who was the Confederate general that fought and led underneath that flag, was doing what was best for the people of the South. And as a human being himself, you know, he was a West Point graduate, and I am very fortunate that when I was stationed in the military, my last duty station was West Point, New York. Robert E. Lee was a superintendent at the United States Military Academy, and I personally worked in his home. You know, it's quarters 100 at West Point. That's where the superintendent lived at the time, and it continues to live there. But he not only went to West Point, you know, up in the Union, he came back to the South. He led the Confederate soldiers, and he was a believer that the slaves should have been set free. He did not believe in owning slaves, and his wife and his mother-in-law actually had schools to help teach the young black community in education, help further their education. And additionally, you know, they want to we want to complain about slavery and the racism. I truly believe that if the people knew that the first slave owner in the United States was a black man, maybe some attitudes would change. So I really think that the Confederate flag was a poor subject to tackle in the United States. I think if it continues, it's going to continue to divide the country, and I really believe that the politicians are using it for their own agenda to further themselves. Enough on the Confederate flag right now. Pet peeve. One of my pet peeves on YouTube is the fact that some of the YouTube videos are extremely long. I like to keep them 5 to 6 minutes, you know, and I haven't really done a whole lot of YouTube videos. I'm kind of new to this, but 5 to 6 minutes I think is long enough. Try to keep the attention span of the viewer and move on. Now let's talk about the gay marriage on Obamacare. I think gay marriage is another issue that the United States government should have left alone and allowed the states to rule on themselves. I think they overstepped their boundaries by ruling on this. The Supreme Court, I don't believe it had any justice going on. Personally, I do not believe in gay marriage. I think a man and a woman should be destined on this earth. I also, you know, think that the fact that the gay community, you know, should be, you know, I don't know, left alone, I guess would be a better word, lack of terms. Kind of like in the military, don't tell issue. And Obamacare, I don't know what really to think about the Obamacare thing. I think it's trying to help a few people out there, but in the meantime it's hurting more than it's helping. The cost of the Obamacare is rising, or healthcare is rising, and I think the fact that with Obamacare it's one step closer to socialism in this country. I really believe that the United States, we are heading into a direction of, we're losing less freedoms as we move forward, and I think this is one of the steps that's moving us into that direction, and I really don't agree with it. You know, give me liberty or give me death, you know. But other than that, I don't know what more I can say in regard to the contest. I hope this was sufficient enough, and like I said, Dwilhoite, I just subscribed to your channels, and I'll be watching them as we go along, and hopefully this will suffice in entering my my name into the contest, and we'll go forward from there. You guys have a great day. Happy trails to all. Be safe out there. Thank you. Lambo.